Hello and welcome back to IXL tutorials. This is Mr. Duffick, and today I'm going to go over IXL S7, which is area and circumference of circles. So you're going to see a series of problems, and they're just going to ask you what the circumference or the area is of the circles that they give you here. And when you're dealing with circumference and area of circles, you really need to know the formulas. So let me start by saying what circumference is. Some questions are going to ask you to find the circumference of a circle. The circumference is just the perimeter of the circle. It's just that if I have this circle and I cut it here, I get scissors and I cut it, and I stretch this circle out so it's just a single long line, and I measured it with a ruler, how long would that piece be? That's the circumference. It's just the length of the outside or the perimeter of the circle. So circumference and perimeter are basically the same word. It's just circumference is used for circles, whereas perimeter is used for all the other shapes. So that's circumference. Area, and whether you're talking about circles or any other shape, area is just referring to all of the space on the inside of a shape. And in this case, it's a circle. So you really need to understand the formulas for circumference and area. And I'll start by going over area, since that's what this problem is going over. So this question is asking, the diameter of a circle is 18 feet. What is the area? So I'll start by saying that the area of a circle is the symbol pi r and squared, or pi times r squared. It's the same thing. Okay, whether you hear pi r squared or pi times r squared, it's the exact same thing. So pi, as you should know by now, is what we call a constant. It's just a number. Pi is always going to equal 3.14. That's what we're going to use anyway. So really, the formula for area is just saying 3.14 times the radius squared. R stands for the radius. And so all we do is we go back to our circle here, and they say the diameter is 18. And if you remember, the diameter of a circle, d, is just going to be the length here from one edge of the circle to the other as it goes through the center. It's kind of like the connector point there. So that line, that diameter, is 18 feet long. But for our area equation, we need radius. We need r. So as you should also remember, radius is just half the diameter. So this entire line here is the diameter. And that means just the line from this point, the center, to that edge, or the center to that edge, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. That's going to be the radius. And since there are two radii, or radiuses, radii, in one diameter, that means that the radius is just going to be half the diameter. So this length here is just going to be half of 18, which is going to be 9. And the radius here is also going to be 9. Radius is radius. That means r is just going to be 9. So that just means we're going to go pi times r squared. R is radius. Radius is 9. So 9 squared. Now, normally I would make you multiply the pi out. So we go 3.14 times 9 squared. IXL kind of gives you a bone here. It just asks you to type in your answer with pi included. So you don't have to multiply it out, which is nice. So all we have to do here now is just multiply the 9 squared out. So our new equation is just pi times 9 squared, or 9 times 9, is just 81. So pi times 81, which is the same thing as saying 81 pi, right? Pi times 81 is the same as 81 pi. Pi times 81 is just 81 pi. So I'm going to type in 81 pi and then click the pi here. And there we go. Okay. Next problem. Now this one is asking for circumference. So the diameter of a circle is 6 feet. What is the circumference? So now I'll go over the circumference formula real quick. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of an easier one to remember. So the circumference formula, there's two ways you can write it. I'll write the easier one first. Circumference is just C, so the circumference equals pi d, or pi times d. And that's it. Okay, so all we have to do is multiply the diameter times the pi. So that's just pi times 6. Because our diameter here is 6, right? Just plug that in. And so pi times 6 is just 6 pi. And that's it. Now, the other formula you will see for circumference is C equals 2 pi r, or 2 times pi times r. Okay, and these are the exact same formula. The reason why they're the exact same formula is our first formula is just pi times d. Okay, we just have d kind of by itself over here. Well, remember, the diameter is the length of that entire part of the circle. The radius is just half that. So we have two radii equaling the diameter. So we have our diameter here, and then we have 2 radius, or 2 times r, 2 times radius here. So diameter equals 2r, 2 times radius. They're the same exact thing. So it's the same formula. It's just, since they give you diameter here, we'll plug diameter in. If they gave you radius, we would just plug it into this one, but it's going to give you the exact same answer, right? So the point is, this one is just 6 pi. Bingo. Okay. This one is just asking for the area, so we will skip it. The radius of a circle is 3. What is the area? So this is the exact same problem as we just saw, except they do not give you a little picture like this. They just give you words, but it's the exact same problem, just as easy. So all we're going to do, and if it helps, you can draw a circle. I'll attempt to draw one here, but I'm using a mouse, so it's not going to be super precise. Oh gosh, that could have been worse. So we have a circle and it says the radius is 3, so I'll do the center and then draw that. So the radius is 3. What is the area? So all we do is remember area equals pi r squared, pi times r squared. So we just go pi times 3 squared. And what is 3 squared? 3 times 3 is just 9. So pi 9, or pi times 9, is just 9 pi. So we'll go back here, type in 9, click pi, and we're good. Okay, same deal. Here's the radius. What's the area? So I'll skip that. Okay, here's a good one. So now we get into problems as we hit the higher level here that ask you to work backwards. So in this problem, they give you the circumference. They give you that length around the entire circle there. They already give you, quote, your answer. What they do ask of you, though, is to find the diameter. They ask you to find that length of the line right there. So this starts to stump a lot of kids, but I promise you it's not that hard. You just use your basic algebra. So we have circumference, so we know we're going to use the circumference formula. The circumference formula is just C circumference equals pi d, pi times d. Okay. Now normally we'd plug our diameter in and we get our circumference, but we don't have a diameter here, right? It's missing. That's what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the diameter. So if we're trying to find that diameter, well, maybe we have something else in here. And we go to the left side and we see C. Do we have our circumference already? Yes, we do. says our c is 2 pi, or the circumference is 2 pi. So we'll just plug 2 pi into c over here, because c is 2 pi. So we'll just plug in 2 pi equals pi times diameter. All right. And from there, we just get d by itself. To do that, since we're multiplying pi times diameter, we got to divide the pi out. Remember, since we're multiplying initially here, we got to do the opposite to get rid of a variable or constant there. And so the opposite of multiplication is going to be division. So we got to divide the pi out here, and therefore we got to divide the pi out on the left side as well. So pi divided by pi cancels out to 1. So we're just left with 2 equals d, the diameter. All right, and so the diameter is 2. Type it in. And what students will do sometimes is they'll say, well, 2 pi. No. You don't have to multiply or add the arbitrary pi afterward. That's not, you're missing the point. The circumference is 2 pi, or 2 times 3.14, right? 6.28 feet. That's just the equation of pi. Or the equation of circumference. We're not trying to find circumference. We're just trying to find diameter. Diameter is just a length, right? So 2 feet. So this line right here is 2 feet long. There's no pi or anything. So don't type in pi. Okay, we'll do another practice one here. So this is a word problem, but it's the same problem we just did, except now it's asking for area, or it's giving you the area. So it says the area of a circle is 36 pi square centimeters. What is the diameter? So we know we're dealing with area, so we're going to write the area formula. A equals pi r squared. And now we're just going to plug in what we already know. So normally we plug in radius. Do we have a radius here? We do not. In fact, it's asking us to find the diameter. But what it does give us is the area already. Area is 36 pi. So we're going to plug that right into here. So we have 36 pi, and don't forget the pi. That's a part of it. 36 pi equals pi r squared. Okay. Get r squared by itself, we got to get rid of the pi. Since we're multiplying, we have to divide, which is the opposite. Okay, so pi's cancel out, pi's cancel out. So we're just left with 36 equals, all we have left is r squared. Okay. Now to turn r squared into just plain old r, or plain old radius, we have to square root both sides, right? So we're going to square root both sides. Square rooting is just the opposite of squaring. That's all we're doing. So we're going backwards now. The number is getting smaller. So the square root of r squared is just going to cancel out to r. And then the square root of 36 is just saying what times itself is 36. So is 4 times 4 36? No, it's 16. Is 5 times 5 36? No, it's 25. Is 6 times 6 36? Yes, it is. So the square root of 36 just is 6. And that's the radius. Now, is that our answer? It is not. And don't be tricked into thinking it is. What are they asking of us? They want us to find the diameter, right? Well, how does the radius relate to the diameter? If we drew a circle, we just found our radius to be 6, so I'll draw the center there, radius 6, 6. Great, we have the radius, but it wants us to find the diameter, which is that entire length, right? So if our radius is 6, if this half is 6, what is the length of the entire line right there? Well, we know the radius is the same everywhere, so if this radius is 6, that means this one is 6 as well, right? So what is 6 plus 6, or what is 6 times 2? 12. So our diameter is going to equal 12 centimeters. Okay, so we go back, we type in 12, and again, not 12 pi, just 12, and we have it. Okay. This one gives you the area, asks you to work back to radius. We're going to skip that one, we already did it. Okay, this is basically the last kind of problem you'll see, and it's good to go over this. So this time, they give you a circle, and they say the area of this circle is pi square meters. So it's just pi. What is the circumference? So they give you area, but they want you to find circumference. So as you might guess, we're going to need both formulas for this. And so I'll put down the formula for area right here. We'll have area equals pi r squared. And then we'll do the formula for circumference. C equals, I'm going to do pi times diameter, just because it's the easier formula to remember. Okay. So we try to find the circumference because it wants us to find the circumference, right? Try to find the circumference, and we find that we're missing our diameter. So there's no way we can actually find the circumference yet. So what we do is we go back to our area, and it says the area of a circle is pi. So A equals pi, which is what it says right here. So all we're going to do is we're going to plug that pi over into our A, and therefore we'll find our radius right here. So we'll go pi equals pi times r squared. Now to get r squared by itself, we got to get rid of the pi. We'll divide both sides by pi. So pi's cancel out. And when the pi's cancel out on both sides, or when the pi's cancel out in general, remember they do not cancel out to 0. That's if we're doing subtraction. We're doing division here. So pi divided by pi cancels out to 1, right? Because pi times 1 is just pi if we were to work backwards. So we have 1 equals 1 times r squared, or just r squared. Okay? And we square root both sides. Square root of r squared is just r. And square root of 1. What times what is 1? Well, 1 times 1 is 1. That's an easy one. So square root of 1 is just 1. So our radius is 1. Okay? Do we have our answer? Definitely not. We're about halfway there. So it wants us to find circumference. So let's plug this into circumference. Now for circumference, we need this diameter right here. Did we just find diameter? We did not. We found radius. But again, how does radius relate to diameter? Well, since we know the radius is 1, that means we know the diameter, the overall length right there, is just 2, right? 1 plus 1 is 2. It's just double. So we know the diameter is 2, so I'll write that right here. D equals 2. And so now we're going to plug that over here in our equation. So to find the circumference, we're going to go C equals pi times 2, or just C equals 2 pi. Now again, IXL doesn't have you multiply it out for some reason. I think that would benefit you guys, but it doesn't. So we're just going to leave it as 2 pi, which would be 6.28. So we'll go back here, do 2 pi, and there we go. Okay, this one is the same problem, and that's pretty much it. You're going to find all those variations of problems. Some will ask you for circumference, some will ask you for diameter, some will ask you for area, but that pretty much covers your bases on the problems you're going to see for S7. Okay, that's it for this video. Please email me directly or post in the comments if you have any more questions. Have a wonderful day and keep studying.